This is how to set up a test using the R software package. First, you select from your test procedure a template. First tab is you enter in your sample geometry. In this case, my cylinder has a 0.325 diameter. Report setup, you can enter in a report. But since I'm going off a template, I've got everything kind of entered in. I can change the operator name or add any other components to my report. Analyses, I've got two analyses selected. Extension at the end of the test and extension at load. An extension at load can be converted into extension at stress. Right now I get 8.33 pounds, and that would correspond to 100 psi. For my servo control, and then in profile, this is where I can kind of set up the way my test is going to run. On this template, the first step is a stress adjusted at 100 psi per minute until stress is 100 psi. So that's basically the contact step or the preload step. So we'll leave that as the way it is. And then the next step would be stress adjusted at 2000 psi per minute until stress is 4,000 pounds. I'm going to change that to a end stress of to go up to 6,000 psi. Once I made my changes here, I can hit replace step, and now that it'll say stress adjusted 2000 psi per minute until stress is 6,000 psi. The third step is basically the hold step. So we got stress adjusted at 0 psi per minute until time is 120 seconds, 2 minutes. Basically, I don't want it to move. I just want it to hold that psi level of 6,000 psi for a length of 2 minutes. So once I've done that, got everything kind of set up the way I want to, I can do a right click, save as, and then I can change the name to correspond to the load level, so 6 KSI, and press OK. And you'll notice in the procedures you'll have the 6 KSI test at this point. Once you've done that, then we're ready to kind of run the test. So we can jog our crosshead into place, zero our initial load and displacement, and then press the green go button. So you'll see here right now we've got a cycle 101. Basically, we're not going to cycle between the 3 segments we created. We got step 1 of 3, so those are the 3 steps, and it's currently running step 1. So now we've got some data here. So now this is going to continue to move at 100 psi per minute until it reaches a end value of 100 psi. So now we've crossed the 100 psi threshold. Now it's climbing at a steeper rate at 2000 psi per minute. And you'll see we're on segment 2 of 3 now. So now this is going to continue at this rate until it reaches 6,000 psi. So now we reached our 6,000 psi load or stress level. So now we're on step 3 of 3, which is the hold period, which is going to try to hold at 6,000 psi for 120 seconds or 2 minutes. So now our test is completed. It's returning to home. Now it gives us the option to save our raw data, so we can change the name that we want to the file. So now we just saved the raw data, so now we can look at the results. This is the report that will print out. So the extension at the end of the test, so basically the last position recorded here, and then the first position extension at load, which should be extension at stress. In this case, 8.33 pounds would correspond to 100 psi, and then that would give our extension right there. And then the end user could right click, export, basically export it to a CSV file, which could be read in Excel, or to a JPEG image. Or they can just do a right click and print directly to a printer if the computer has a printer hooked up to it. This concludes the video of setting up a test using the R software package.